Alright, what we're going to do today in this video is learn a little bit about kettlebells. Kettlebells is a great training tool, and I've called on my friend Bliffert here, who owns a kettlebell and boot camp studio in Texas. He's going to lead us through some of the basic movements. And before we start off on some basic movements, for those of us who are not familiar with kettlebells, can you just let us know like what size, if you're beginner woman or beginner male, just starting with kettlebells, like what size, they come in different weights, so what size weight should a beginner be using for this?
Well, most women, if they've never used a kettlebell before, they're going to want to start with probably what we would call an 8-kilogram bell, which is about 18 pounds. If you're fairly fit and a little bit stronger than average, then a 12 kilo or 26 pound bell, which would be these two bells right here, would probably be a good place to start.
Okay.
Beginner men, if it's something that you're just getting into and you're just getting back into a healthy lifestyle and incorporating fitness back into your life, 12 kilo would be a place to start. Again, that's about 26 pounds. Otherwise, most men can actually start with a 16 kilo bell, which is about 35 pounds. And that's typically where we start people. We get them moving safe first before we start to increase the weight.
Okay, and if they're just buying their first kettlebell, all they need to buy is one, like dumbbells, you usually buy them in pairs, but
yeah,
you can get away with just having one kettlebell.
One kettlebell is all you need to get started.
Okay,
absolutely.
Perfect. Now BJ is a kettlebell, certified kettlebell trainer, and I'm not, so that's why I'm calling on him to demonstrate some basic movements. So
sure.
Again, if we're just starting out, say we've never used a kettlebell before, BJ's going to take us through 4 to 5 of our basic movements. I'll have him demonstrate.
Okay, the first movement that we teach everybody when they're just getting involved with kettlebell training is the basic kettlebell deadlift, and that will teach somebody to lift the bell with their hips and legs rather than relying on their weak low back to get the bell moving. So it's very similar to a deadlift that you would do with a dumbbell or a barbell. We approach the kettlebell, and I tell people to start with the bell directly between their feet. I tell them to take their hands, put them on their waistline, and start pushing their hips back. So it's almost like you're sitting on a chair that's 10 feet behind you. You want to try to get your butt into that chair. So now that I'm in a good deadlift position, you can see my shins are vertical, my back is nice and flat. I'm going to look straight ahead, so my chest stays open, my shoulder blades are pinched together. I can kind of feel for the bell, and once I find it, grab it with both hands. I push my heels into the ground, push my hips forward, and I stand up nice and straight. To get my second rep started, I start by pushing my hips back. I get the handle just below my knees, and I bring my hips forward again. Now again, be sure that it's your legs and your hips that are doing the movement and not your back. If you start to feel it in your low back, set the bell down, step away from it, and start over. If you feel it in your back, something isn't correct. Once we teach them the deadlift and you feel comfortable with that movement, you can turn that deadlift into the basic two-hand kettlebell swing. And we set up the same way. We get the bell between the feet. Then I tell people to take a step back, because the kettlebell swing is very similar to the deadlift, but it incorporates some momentum. So in order to get the bell moving, we have to hike it back between our legs first, and you'll see that here. Setup otherwise is exactly the same. Hips go back, shins are vertical, back's flat, chest is open, I look straight ahead, I find my bell, I hike the bell back, and then I just stand up straight, and I don't use my arms to lift the bell at all. Again, it's all hips and legs, and the momentum of the kettlebell carries my arms up. And I set the bell down the same way I pick it up so I don't hurt my back. So that's 2 exercises. Third exercise is typically some type of squatting motion. The swing and the deadlift hits the hamstrings and the glutes. The squatting will tend to put a little bit more emphasis on the quadriceps. So to get the bell in position, set up like you would with the deadlift with the bell between your feet. Take a little step back, hips back, give it a little swing, pull the bell up, and grab it by the horns of the kettlebell. The horns refer to the starting of the handle, where it leaves the belly of the bell. So from there, I'll show you from the side. We keep the bell tight to the body, elbows pinned to the ribs. We pull ourselves down into a deep squat, drive from the heels, stand back up. Do a couple reps for you. And then to set the bell down, we let our hands slide around the handle, push our hips back, set the bell down safely. So that's 3 movements that you can do. What else do you want to see, Scott?
Maybe a high pull?
Sure. High pulls, very similar to the swing, except you saw with the swing, the bell was projected straight out. The high pull, we changed the direction of the bell. So step away from the bell again. Sit back like you're doing a swing. Hike back, and then pull the bell up to the nose. A little more upper back involvement here. Still getting a lot of hips and legs. And I don't know if you can tell, but I'm starting to get a little winded. So you get a really good cardio with your strength training all in one tool. Last one, clean and press. The biggest thing that you need to be aware of when you do a kettlebell clean is to not let the kettlebell bang into your forearm. So when you're first starting out, get the bell into the clean position with 2 hands. So if I'm going to perform this movement with my right arm, I grab the bell first with my right hand, then I grab it with my left. I give a little baby swing back, and I use 2 hands to pull it up into this position. From here, I can take my left hand off, and I can press the bell overhead, just like you would a dumbbell, and I pull the bell back down into what we call the clean position or the rack position. Press it up, pull it back down. When it's time to set the bell down, place your other hand on the handle, tip the bell over, make sure you push your hips back to protect your low back, set the bell down safely, and now you can catch your breath.
Very cool. And before we stop, that was excellent. Thank you, by the way. And I know people are going to ask, where can they buy a kettlebell? So where would you recommend? I know they sell them at places like Target and stuff.
Yeah,
you
can
get the weight that you want there.
You can find them at some department stores. The quality isn't probably going to be as good as something that you'd find on the internet. Should I just give out a site?
Yeah, sure.
If you go to fullthrottлекettlebells.com, you'll get high quality kettlebells that will last you a long, long time.
Awesome. Well, great. This was a good introduction to kettlebell, so thank you.
You bet.